It was an ordinary day for NBG Don, just cruising through his neighborhood when he pulled up to his local corner store. He wasn't expecting anything unusual, just a quick stop for a drink. But when he walked through the door, his eyes locked on the last person he expected to see. Boosie Badazz, standing in the snack aisle, casually picking out chips. NBG Don froze in his tracks. His heart raced. He had been a fan of Boosie for years, with his music blasting in his headphones on the regular, and now here he was, face to face with one of his biggest idols. Yo! Yo, Boosie? NBG Don stammered, trying to get the words out but failing miserably. His brain was working faster than his mouth, but the nerves got the best of him. Man, yo! What's good, bro? Boosie looked up, a slight smirk on his face, as he noticed the younger man's struggle. He leaned back against the shelf, clearly amused but also giving NBG Don space to collect himself. Hey, you good, fam? You looking like you just seen a ghost. Boosie laughed. Don swallowed hard, trying to steady his breathing. Nah, it's just, I grew up listening to your music, man. For real, like you've been through it, you know? Boosie chuckled, giving him a nod of acknowledgement. I feel that, youngin'. I appreciate the love. The stuttering didn't stop, though. Don was trying his hardest to hold it together, but each time he opened his mouth, it felt like the words just slipped away. I ain't even know you were, like, in the area, you know? Boosie, ever the laid-back figure, patted Don on the shoulder. Man, you ain't gotta be nervous. I'm just regular like you. I ain't some superhuman. As the conversation went on, NBG Don finally calmed down enough to stop stuttering. He even managed to take a couple of pictures with Boosie before the rapper grabbed his snacks and made his way to the register. Keep grinding, fam, Boosie said with a wink as he walked out the door. NBG Don stood there, still in shock, but with a smile on his face. He'd never forget the day he ran into Boosie at the corner store and how it took every ounce of energy just to get a few words out. It was just another afternoon in the hood when NBG Don rolled up to his usual corner store. He was in a rush, trying to grab a quick snack and some drinks for his crew. But as soon as he stepped through the door, something in the air felt different. There, in the middle of the aisle, was none other than Boosie Badazz. Don's jaw nearly hit the floor. He blinked twice, just to make sure he wasn't seeing things. Boosie, the man whose music had been a soundtrack to Don's life since high school. From his rough lyrics to his southern swagger, Boosie had been an icon for him. And here he was, just casually browsing through chips and soda. NBG Don froze, his heart skipping a beat. He knew he had to say something, but the words weren't coming out. He tried to clear his throat, but it only made things worse. Yo, Boosie? Don finally managed to stutter, his voice barely above a whisper. Boosie didn't even flinch. He slowly turned around, giving Don a cool, laid-back look. A smile tugged at the corner of his lips, clearly amused by Don's reaction. Hey, what's up, fam? You good? Boosie asked, his deep voice somehow making the moment feel even more surreal. Don couldn't believe it. He was standing face to face with one of his idols, but his nerves were getting the best of him. His tongue felt like it was tied in a knot. I've been listening to your music since I was like 12, bro. Don's words stumbled out like a jumbled mess. Boosie chuckled, leaning back against the shelf. He had seen this kind of reaction before. Man, you acting like you saw a ghost or something. It's just me. Don't be shy. Don tried to laugh it off, but it came out more like a nervous giggle. He wiped his forehead, his palms sweating. Nah, it's just wild, man, he said, still stuttering. Like, you've been through it all, and I've been listening, you know? Like, the struggle, the grind, it's just a lot. Boosie smiled knowingly, shaking his head. I feel you, youngin'. I've been through a lot, but it's all part of the game. I respect the hustle. You gotta keep pushing no matter what. Don finally managed to calm himself a bit, his hands no longer shaking as much. Yeah, I hear that. I'm trying to get my own thing poppin', you know? Music, moving around, just trying to make it. That's what it's about, fam, Boosie said with a nod of approval. You gotta stay focused, keep your head on straight. Ain't nobody gonna hand you nothing. You gotta earn it. Don was soaking in every word, still in disbelief. Man, I swear, if I could just get a feature from you, or even just some advice, like that'd be everything, Don said, trying to keep his cool. Boosie raised an eyebrow and looked Don up and down. He could tell this young guy wasn't just talking, he was hungry. "Keep grindin', and the doors will open," Boosie replied, offering a solid piece of advice. "The right people will hear you. Just make sure you stay true to yourself and keep pushing that real music." Don felt a rush of motivation. "For real, bro. That's some real talk right there. Appreciate it, man. For real." Just as Don was starting to feel like he was finally getting into the groove of the conversation, Boosie grabbed his snacks, some chips and a soda, and walked toward the counter. Don stood frozen for a second before his nerves kicked back in. He quickly followed Boosie, reaching out with a shaky hand. "Yo, can I get a pic?" Don asked, his voice still a little shaky, but he was managing to hold it together. Boosie gave him a sly smile and nodded. "Of course, fam." They snapped a quick picture together, Don still grinning like a kid on Christmas. "Keep at it, fam," Boosie said as he walked out of the store, tossing a peace sign over his shoulder. "Stay focused. You got this." Don stood there in awe, his heart still pounding in his chest. He couldn't believe it. A moment that would go down in history as the time NBG Don met Boosie, at the corner store of all places. As Don left the store, his mind was racing. He knew this encounter was more than just a celebrity sighting. It was a lesson, a reminder to keep hustling, to never let the nerves stop him from chasing his dreams. His phone buzzed with messages from his crew, but all he could think about was what Boosie had said. Keep grinding. That was all the motivation he needed.